Hi, everyone. Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It is truly my pleasure today to introduce you to Amy Terrill. How you doing, Amy?
I'm great, thank you. How are you, Teresa?
I'm great. I'm so glad you're here today. Amy is the author of a book called No Secrets Among Sisters. So that's what I wanted you to talk about today, your journey to your successful authorhood, how you got here, and we'll take it from there. So let's start at the beginning, Amy. What got you into writing?
Well, thanks, Teresa, for the opportunity to talk about my first novel, which is first work of fiction. I had always written. So during my professional career, I started as a journalist, so short form story writing, and then through several different roles where I did a lot of writing, mostly policy, research, that sort of thing. And so I was very accustomed to writing and communications. But this is my first work of fiction, and I did not know if I could pull that off. I wasn't sure if I could make something up, quite honestly. But the inspiration came about 10 years ago. I was working in Toronto at the time, and I picked up a family history book that I'd read before, but just hadn't looked at it for a while. It was written by my great aunt Frankie. So when I was 16 years old, she turned 90, and we had a big party for her, and she stood up and spoke for 45 minutes, and you couldn't hear a pin drop in the room. We were all enthralled with her stories. And so we asked her if she would please record this information. Of course, she was aging and she had Parkinson's at the time as well, but she had so much to share. Like, her memory was so incredible with the detail that she remembered her life and that of her siblings and other family members. So she started right away, and she actually did then finish a family history, which in a few years she was able to print and share with the family. So I had looked at it again during university days and different times, but I picked it up about 10 years ago to keep me company on the GO train to work for a couple of weeks, and reread the chapter about World War One, which describes the munitions factory in which my great aunt and her sister Maddie worked in Toronto. And I realized it was around the corner from my office at the time. Literally, it was just this incredible moment to think that 100 years earlier, almost down to the month, they had walked those same sidewalks to work that I was walking at that time. And so it was just that fact alone, that coincidence was just, I just said, I've got to do something with this someday. I don't know what it is. And it took me about 5 years to figure it out and to come up with a concept for a book.
That's fantastic. So tell us what the book's about. I know it's about sisters, obviously, and
Yeah.
secrets. That let's talk
Yes.
about that. I know you don't want to give the book away, but can you give some highlights about it, Amy?
Course. Yeah. So what I did was, and you've probably read books like this where you have a present day protagonist who's discovering, they might find something that leads them on a journey to discover a story. And then you also have the past protagonist chapters going back and forth. That's the format of the book.
Okay.
So I have a present day character whose name is Amelia. She's a very successful print reporter who has aspirations for politics, but she's in a very emotionally precarious position because she's recently lost her father. And at that time, she's struggling at work. She's struggling just in keeping her emotions on an even keel. But she's being pressed to decide if she's going to run for a federal nomination. So she goes home to spend some time with her mom to think through this opportunity, and she is presented with something leads her on a mission to discover why her great aunt Frankie didn't run for politics, even though she was very involved in the suffrage association and had aspirations herself. That's how we first get introduced to Frankie. And then we learn from Frankie's own perspective about her time in the munitions factory and with the suffrage association. And both characters end up trying to unearth a number of secrets and mysteries in the book.
That sounds fascinating. I want to get my copy. I know. Amy, hold up the book if you don't mind. Do you have a
Sure.
copy of that in
Yeah,
front of you there?
this is it right
Perfect.
here.
And just a little closer to the screen so we can see it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So
How's
no
that?
secrets among sisters. Beautiful. Now,
Mhm.
Amy, now you can get this on Amazon.
Yes, Amazon, Indigo, and of course, anyone who's in our local area, it's in some of the local bookstores in the Kawartha Lakes. And actually, soon will be other places as well. I've got some events coming up in Ottawa and a delivery going to a Toronto bookstore, etc. But yeah,
And this is your first book. Have you done a launch for it, like a signing for it yet?
I had a little mini one with some friends as a practice, so I could see what it would be like reading some expert excerpts and that sort of thing. My official launch in Lindsay, Ontario, is on Thursday, September 25th.
Oh, that's wonderful. So
Mhm.
Lindsay's not far. It's just north of me. I'm in Oshawa.
Oh,
That's not
okay.
far. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely, Amy. And in Oshawa, we have a number of libraries. So perhaps you'll be coming down this way. That
Yes.
would be
I'll have to try
amazing.
and do that.
Yeah, we'd like that. From there, let's talk, Amy, about your journey to here. So this
Mhm.
is your first book. Have you done any other kinds of writing? Like do you just have you ever done writing of any kind?
Yes, in my career, I actually have published research papers but it was always factual. So it was always public policy based work. So I've been involved in looking at politics from the outside, always from the outside looking in, and government relations and that sort of thing. So that was a real theme throughout my career. And the political themes in this novel are not a surprise there. But so as I said, I'd never done anything in fiction. It was during the pandemic I finally got the concept for the book. And I again, not knowing whether, like, really where to start with creative writing. I did, are you familiar with Master's Class, their
Yes.
online courses?
Yes, I am.
So so there's one that Margaret Atwood did about creative writing. And so it was like a crash course on writing fiction and so very helpful.
Oh,
Margaret, of course, that's one of our best experts in Canada on
absolutely.
fiction. Yeah, so super helpful. That was one of the first things I did. I did a lot of research about World War One, of course. I wanted to get into the psyche of women on the home front because Frankie was going to be one of my main characters. And so I needed to understand what it was like in Toronto in World War One. I wanted to learn more about the munitions factories. I was fortunate to find photos of the actual munitions factories in Toronto run by Russell Motors, which was the company that she
Oh,
worked
okay.
for.
Yeah.
And because she had so much detail, had written so much detail in our family history, I knew things like what jobs they had, what their roles were, how much they were paid. I knew all sorts of details about their experience in World War One from my aunt's perspective. So that was really helpful. One of the other books that I found very useful, Lucy Maud Montgomery's diaries of the period. So again, giving me a firsthand perspective of what it was like for women during World War One in the area. So she was in Uxbridge at the time. So those were so just a lot of research, just so that I knew that I could write authentically about the period. And then that led me down a journey also of learning more about the suffrage movement because I had decided it was going to become a big part of my novel, even though to my knowledge, Aunt Frankie wasn't a suffragist, but she
Okay.
was a very intelligent woman who was ahead of her time. So I think she could have been. She just, as I say, I don't think she got involved in the suffrage movement, but I had decided that was a big part of the book.
Well done. Your talents are shining through. And what a success story in your first book. Well done. Now, was there any kind of bumps and bruises along the way that you can share with the viewers on your journey? We know about the success and we're proud of you. Was there anything along the way that you had to iron out?
Of course. Yeah. I made lots of mistakes. I would say that advice to someone who is maybe trying to start on something like this themselves, once you, I spent a lot of time, as I said, researching, but then also character development. So, really getting into the heads of the characters so that I had fully developed complex characters, so that as I was writing, then I could confidently say, yes, this is consistent with what that character would do in my novel. So those were some of the early steps. And then you just want to start writing and give it a try. I had many drafts, of course, of the novel as I went along. It was probably about a year and a half before I had a first draft. Then I worked with an editor who was fantastic. So I did a couple of rounds with a professional editor. And then my ambition was to see the book published. Not every writer sets out to do that. I have lots of writer friends that I spend time with. We have a couple of retreats every year to just work together and share some of our ideas and bounce ideas off of each other for our different projects. But not everyone is setting out to publish a book. For me, that was my ambition. And I wasn't successful in my first attempt. So I did try and get traditional publishing. I did not pursue an agent, which would have allowed, if I'd been able to get an agent, then the larger publishing houses will receive work from an agent. I chose just to go directly to a few small Canadian publishers.
Sure.
And had some back and forth, but it was not picked up by one of those publishers. So that was a big bump in the road.
Sure.
But I didn't give up, and I pursued what I like to call it self-publishing with help, Friesen Press. So
Oh, I like that.
it's really self-publishing. All the creative decisions were mine, but they give you a lot of tools and advice and help along the way.
Perfect. Amy, you know what? I think it's terrific. That's what Success Diaries is all about. People who overcome adversity, move forward, and become successful. And you've done that very thing. So well done, first of all. So I want to say that. The other thing is you had the stick to it attitude. I'm going to do this no matter what. And you did it. And that takes a lot of courage. And especially when you've been dissuaded and then all of a sudden you're going forward and you think, if I'd have given up, this would never have happened. So to the viewers, look at this, a real success story, and I'm happy to hear that. Now, Amy, let's ask, where are you going in the next 5 years? You're working still, I'm thinking.
Yes, I still have a full-time job.
Okay.
So yes, I have a first draft of my next book.
Okay.
So one of the things as I sent it out to publishers, you really have to be patient because it takes quite a long time for them to get back to you. And so in order to keep my mind off that, I started writing my second book. And yeah, so now that I've written one fiction, I have story ideas bouncing around all the time, Teresa. So that is definitely what I see myself doing over the next 5-10 years. The nice thing about writing is you can do it anywhere. And so it's even if over time we're traveling or anything like that, it's easy to take your laptop with you and sit in a cafe or sit outside, wherever you like, you can write. So that's definitely what I see myself doing.
You're very gifted. One thing I will tell you, Amy, I have all these great ideas for novels and movies and things, but it's not in my DNA to write. It's not.
Oh no.
So I have all these great ideas, but I don't put them on paper. And that's the
You
truth.
need a ghostwriter.
Yeah, because I do have some great ideas actually, and I know that, but it's just not in me to sit down and write. Although my creativity side shows I'm able to bring authors forward. I love that. I can bring your talent forward. I absolutely respect the work that's involved and the time and effort. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do that and that you talk about your story. So that's that's what's great about technology, right? Because even writing, you have some help with computers that we didn't have before. You're not writing pen to paper. There's all these advantages we have today still. So that's good.
Absolutely. And that is the interesting contrast with my great aunt Frankie, because that's what I think is so remarkable about the book that she published. This was in 1986. She didn't have access to the internet to verify her memories or the facts, and yet it's extremely detailed. And to do her justice, I had to make sure that I did my homework and really presented was with the time. Although remembering it's fiction, I definitely have taken lots of liberties with those historical events.
Okay, so from here, if somebody wanted to reach out to you right now, what's the best place to reach you, Amy?
I have a website, amyterrill.com. So AMYTERRILL.com. And I've got contact information there. I have book questions for book clubs. There are a number of book clubs I already know who are looking at reading the book. And so there are questions there to inspire book clubs. And I'm keeping the website up to date with my events as well.
Well done. I truly mean that. I'm very happy to have had you on today. Now, Amy, can you show your book one more time so everyone can see it?
Yes. And make sure I've got it in
Yeah, and
the.
lift it up just a bit more so we can see your name. Amy Terrill. Yeah, we got it right there. Perfect. So now the
Got
book's
it.
there, everyone. You can go over to Amy's website. Are they able to purchase the book right from your website?
They can send me a message through there, yes, and
Okay.
I can arrange that.
And but they can go to Amazon
Yeah.
and
Amazon and Indigo as well.
and you
And it's
mentioned Liz,
available, sorry, the ebooks, so Kindle, Kobo, they're all available as well.
and you mentioned Lindsay, you're going to have your launch or a launch. Do you know the date yet?
Yes, Thursday, September 25th at,
Thursday, September 25th.
yep, 7 o'clock at Kindred Coffee.
Perfect. I'll make sure all of this information is in the show notes, okay, Amy?
Okay.
And we'll make sure you get that over to me and then I'll have it up for the viewers,
Okay,
okay?
great.
Amy, you're a delight. I'm very proud of you. I have one more question.
Okay,
Would you come back and do another episode when you get your next book going?
sure, I'd love to do that.
We'd love to have you back.
Okay,
Amy, thank
that's
you
a
so much.
deal.
Everyone, this is Amy Terrill. Do take a look at her webpage, take a look at her book. I think you're just going to love it. I know you are. And to everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Do subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Bye-bye now.